Hey Peter, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you. How about yourself?
I am doing well. I'm happy we decided to do this impromptu hop on the live
Yeah,
stream because we're talking about something
yeah,
interesting that I don't think I've seen anyone really diving into a deep discussion on, which is
right,
leveraging VR and AR to improve well-being. So I was happy that I came across you on LinkedIn, Peter. So I'm going to give you space to
sure,
go ahead and tell everyone
sure.
who you are and a little bit more about our conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. My name is Peter Oikman, and I'm, co-founder of a company. It's called the SciTech VR. We started this around 2020, 2021, right around COVID. And general idea was we saw so many people suffering from various forms of anxiety, and even before COVID, but during COVID, all these social anxieties just became a big issue. And I always loved the technology. I had like three companies before, but I'm always fascinated with the technology, and we got together with my partner, and we decided to figure out how to make mental health and wellness better, because clearly there are not enough doctors to actually to handle this anxiety, uh, and we started SciTech VR, and 3 years later, we're still doing it and working with the doctors, clinics, and anxiety is still our main focus. We're working with fears, phobias, PTSD, CPTSD. We work with some forms of OCD and such. Uh, but yeah, it's our initial impression that virtual reality, due to the immersiveness and could be really good.
Yes.
It's actually turns out to be right.
Well, it makes sense because the mind doesn't know
Yeah.
the difference, right? Our perception is our reality. So
N-
VR, AR, real life, it all feels the same, right? So we see those funny videos when people are playing a game and it's like Resident Evil or something like that, and something jumps out, they
yeah.
still react the
Yeah.
exact same way as if it's real. So I can
Uh,
imagine how impactful this is.
Absolutely. And my personal experience, my first experience with virtual reality, we I bought this VR headset for myself, not for my
Mhm.
children. And so I was really kind of curious about technology, because I read by that time already read so much about it. And the first thing they're offering you, just to get adjusted to the environment, to play some game like ping pong, or something similar to the ping pong. And you got this table in front of you in a virtual reality, and playing for 5 minutes in virtual reality. I know that the table is not there, but I'm still trying to put my controllers on the table. And it's like it still bugs me that how your brain is willing to participate in the game.
Absolutely.
So it's like I know that it's not real, but somehow I'm still putting my controllers on the table, or trying to put the controllers on the table.
Yeah,
So
and I feel like everyone can relate to this, right? So how many times have we exacerbated an issue in our minds to say, "Oh
yes,
man, this is going to happen. This is we make up all these
yes,
things, right?" And it
yes,
feels so real.
yeah.
So it's just case in point.
Yeah, and it's also, the problem is, we're very prone to the anxiety, and as a human beings, and it's hilarious, but I'm not a doctor, I'm IT guy, but I know that through my whole life, your brain will try to find some sort of anxiety. It doesn't really matter if everything is good in the office, then it's your personal life.
Hmm.
If it's not personal life, it's your children or something else. We're always finding some source of anxiety. I don't know. It's like yeah, it's always you're always anxious. It's just it's not even a question. The question is, we all have to find our own way to deal with the anxiety. And I think virtual reality is really good option, because I've heard some as like, and ridiculous, right? Go meditate. Yeah, no, nobody can go and meditate, because it's way more complicated. It's like I was doing a Tai Chi at some point of my life. I spent about 2-3 years learning how to meditate, and
Mm,
it's like it's not that simple. But virtual reality provides you very safe space where you could go in, create your own, we call the safe space, yeah, and create your own environment using AI. Add again some music, some your own music or standard music or AI generated music, and be there. And we could add some breathing exercise, we could add some other things there. But at the end of the day, uh, you you just knowing that it's an option that is available, knowing that, just put your headset that right now it costs like $300.
yeah.
You don't have to go through the mental health part. Just go to mental wellness, create your own safe space, and just stay there for 10 minutes, and that is making a difference.
Yeah, and I love this because oftentimes as a coach, especially coaching someone who maybe they're struggling with anxiety, maybe they're struggling with burnout, etc.
Hmm.
Oftentimes, we walk them through an exercise to kind of for visualization, and now you don't have to walk them through an exercise per se because you can literally
Yes,
create that
yes,
environment. Like, hey, where do you see yourself? What's calming you? Who's there with you? All these things can actually be created now in this virtual augmented
yeah.
reality.
Yeah, and that's why we called it a safe space, because you could, again, just through the prompts, you could create your own safe space. It's your own. You could save it. You could modify any way you want to, and it's a 360. And add a sound of the waves or
Mhm.
rain or anything else, and just be there. I actually, my one of my first experiences with AIs, and just out of curiosity, I asked, I was watching some movie a couple days prior. I asked to create a house on the moon, with view of the Earth, and
Mhm.
to my huge surprise, that was a really cool thing. That was a
Oh, I
really
believe it.
cool idea. Yeah, yeah,
I believe it because it's
yeah,
different. Like you see it on TV, is different from like
yeah,
you actually experiencing that in that
yeah,
world.
yeah.
So
In virtual reality, it's it's not kind of a real, but you feel real.
right. Well, the key is the fact that it says reality
Yeah,
in the definition, right? So it feels
yeah,
real to
yeah,
you. So
yeah.
let me ask you this, Peter. So with your organization, how do you foresee this virtual reality adoption really helping to alleviate some of the mental health challenges that we're experiencing
Uh,
today?
Absolutely. So I think it's a question of education, and I'm always talking about the same kind of a strange uh, subject over drones. So when the drones came up, and long time ago, I was just like, yeah, it's like I don't feel comfortable with these things, because honestly speaking, I know that it could do way more than just being a toy. And surprise,
Absolutely.
surprise, a
Well, we're
few
seeing
years
that.
later, yeah, military started using it. It feels like we're somewhere in the same kind of area with that. For a long time, people were treating virtual reality as a toy. And again, you have to start somewhere. But I absolutely convinced that it could do so much more, and it could be absolutely a great tool for mental health and wellness. And that's we have a couple hundred therapists who are essentially telling us exact same thing. That is making a difference. This VR therapy is making a difference, and
Mhm.
it could be done in the office. It could be done remotely. It could be done absolutely, like custom experience, because if you have some trauma, right? So before, the way it worked, the therapist would ask you to essentially imagine this trauma, and it's counterintuitive because that's what we are trying to avoid. But now therapists could create it using AI,
Mhm.
this trauma, and essentially help you to work through this trauma, through these triggers, in steps, like, gradually, basically, like, start with a smaller version to a more complicated version. But it also is a tool, as we discussed, that is available for you at home. If you experience anxiety, just put your headset and feel better, and it helps. Uh, it it's kind of funny because VR qualifies as a mobile device,
Right.
and it's kind of it's almost, like, it took me like some time to kind of understand the concept. So in the modern world, mobile device, it's supposed to have a screen, it's supposed to have a keyboard, and it's supposed to have an internet connection. VR is the same thing. So when people are like, "Oh, it's something completely like new," well, it's still a mobile device. It's not. It's a little bit more complicated than your phone, but it's still a mobile device.
Right.
So, accepting the fact that it's available, it's cheaper than your phone. It's
That's
like
true. That is very true.
your
I
your
hadn't thought
phone
about that.
costs $1,000. This one cost only $300. It's very intuitive, very very easy, and it could help you with your mental wellness.
Yeah,
what,
no,
what,
I
yeah, versus the phone, which adds to
right. You
anxiety.
can use the app, but it's not the same. But no, I like this idea, Peter, because and one of the things that intrigues me, being someone who is challenged with PTSD and depression, you know,
Yeah.
whenever it feels like challenging me, I can attest to this because oftentimes, a therapist once told me that PTSD really is like a point in time thing, but we can't differentiate the time frame. So if
Hmm.
something triggers us, we think that we're in a time whenever whatever traumatic event
Right.
happened. So
Right.
I like this because you may be at a confront because a lot of
Yeah.
us are like, man, I wish I could have acted
Yes.
differently, or what could I have
Yes.
done differently. So based on the information is, they can rewrite that
Hmm.
and say, okay, what are your options? Right? What do you
Yes.
see that you could have done differently? And we'll realize that there was nothing else we could do differently because we couldn't
Yeah. Yeah.
control. There was only
Yeah.
thing
No.
we can control is getting the heck out of there in that time. Right. So yeah.
Absolutely, and especially we're working with the doctors in Israel right now, and I went through it. I listened to a few lectures about EMDR,
Yes.
and in Israel they're using EMDR a lot, and as you can imagine, they have a lot of people with PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
especially right now, unfortunately. But EMDR is a great tool, and we are working with one of the leading experts in EMDR in Israel, and with him we created a protocol that really helps you to deal with PTSD issues using EMDR technique, this moving bilateral movement, and I think it's creating it's making a difference. It's really truly making a difference.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I mean, that's one of the things, one of the tools that the VA used for me was
Hmm.
EMDR and then
Hmm.
cognitive behavioral therapy. And it wasn't just for the PTSD, but I had to change my relationship with sleep and all these other things. So I can imagine using this virtual or augmented world, the infinite possibilities. Right now, we're focusing on an anxiety induced mental health or wellness challenges. But this can be used for virtually anything, right? It's
Yes,
like
yes.
the possibilities are endless, and you know this is in its infantile stages. You just started this, so I can only imagine a few years from now where you're going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you're 100% correct, because we were actually doing a roadmap for this year for our advisor. We have a 6 advisors who are all very respected professionals, clinicians, and trainers, and PhDs, and we're making this roadmap, and this year, last year, we had essentially, honestly, no problems creating a 12 months roadmap. This year I looked at the roadmap and it's like, yeah, 6 months is basically that's my best guess, because technology is changing so much and it's moving so fast that I could see what we're doing in 6 months. Beyond that,
Right.
that's impossible to figure
To
out,
know.
because and I love it, because it really making such between AI and virtual reality tools and available, it's changing, and everything is faster and better.
Absolutely. So let me ask you that. We have a few more minutes left.
Sure.
What would be like if you really wanted to just let people know that are listening one component of what we're talking about here? What would that be?
um that it's not scary, it's available. We're
Mhm.
selling it as a subscription, like monthly subscription. Go subscribe. If you don't like it, don't pay for the next month. We have 2 subscriptions. We were charging $120 per month for a doctor and $50 per month for individuals. We're trying to make it as available and affordable as we can. Again, it's like $299 VR headset, $50 subscription. That's your expense to feel better.
Yeah, right. And remind us of the website again, Peter.
Eh, yeah, it's thank you. It's a PSYTECHVR, scitechvr.com. And again, we tried. We got a 30 days free trial. No like, we don't need your credit card to try it for 30 days. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And
Absolutely.
we're absolutely will be happy to help anybody who is interested.
Awesome. Well, definitely appreciate your time, Peter. Really interesting topic, really interesting subject. Hey, sorry, people. I know y'all want to hear more on this, but we're out of time here today. But go ahead and go to the website, hit up Peter, let him know that you're interested, give him some feedback of what you may want to see. It's probably already in there because he's a thought leader in this space. But yeah, I appreciate your time, man, and thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for all of the value that you're adding to the world. Keep creating impact.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Th- Thank you for your curiosity.
My pleasure. That's one of my things. I'm always curious, man. It got me in trouble as a youth, but now it's it's a huge benefit, man. But I'll see
Yeah.
everyone later, and
Thank,
remember, keep ascending.
thank, thank you.